Welcome aboard, and thanks for tuning in to the Heavy Metal Truckers. I almost forgot how I was going to do this. I want to thank you for joining us for our first video of the year.
First video that we filmed of the year, yes.
Yes, and I'm going to make it to where it is the first video that comes out. Because I think this would be an awesome time, because I'm having to redo a lot. Oh shit, I started spilling my drink. Anyway. Off to a fantastic start. So, this album that we are going to be doing a review of came out in...
Was it September? September, I think.
Seems that way.
Something like that.
Hold on.
We're about 3 to 4 months behind. It was either that or August.
September 15th.
So yeah, we're 3.5 months late, but that's okay.
It's all good. So, this is The Shining's latest album. Shining, it's their self-titled album. After, I can't remember how many albums they've had. This is their self-titled. But then again, Lamb God did the same thing recently. Well, one of the albums before. Anyway, so I feel like this part's going to be short, but how did you discover Shining?
Well, actually, believe it or not, I'd never heard of them until about 2 weeks ago.
I figure.
So, that being said, I have done a lot of research, not just on the music, but also the band. So I can confidently say this is by far the most controversial band we've ever had on the channel.
It absolutely is.
And by like a mile. Because for now, I want to say, at least for me, I feel like it'd be true for him too. We don't necessarily, the views of this band don't necessarily represent us.
We have to say that for legal reasons.
Yes. Because for those of you who don't know, this band is pro-suicide, pro-self-harm. And most of their songs are about that. Not that you can tell because they're in Swedish, unless you speak Swedish, but...
I thought he was Swedish or Norwegian?
No, they're Swedish.
Okay, I can't remember.
Yeah. And it's really the main vocalist.
Oh, yeah.
Who
Which,
is.
I was about to say,
And you really get the sense that he's kind of a dick, which would explain why they've had 8 billion band members over the 25 years they've been around.
Yeah.
He's the same age as me, actually. But anywho,
Surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit older than him.
I'll explain why later on.
But well, I know he started the band when he was like 12. I think that's what I read. He was young. Yeah. So anyway, what was I gonna say? But yeah, no, I discovered them like literally about 2 weeks ago when you two were talking about it. So.
Oh, whenever Jesse and I were
Yeah, when Jesse first brought them up. But yeah.
Okay. So for me, I discovered this group a little bit before he did. It was actually, let me look up when this album was released and I'll be able to let you know. I came into knowing Shining probably right around 2012, because I remember Redefining Darkness had, that was their main album they had out. And I had actually discovered Shining, I believe it was through a documentary that I had seen. I can't remember if it was Black Metal Satanica or if Papa Dunn from Banger TV, Headbangers A Journey, I can't remember if he did it, but it was in a documentary that I had seen, and he was one of the most interesting individuals that was interviewed, because
I believe it, because
yes.
just reading you can tell. And interesting is putting it nicely, I think.
Yes, interesting is putting it very nicely. Actually, in interviews, he's very neutral.
I would imagine he would be for
Yeah.
legal and
also
publicity reasons.
But also, you know how whenever some people that may be a little controversial, whenever they speak at interviews, they take their time to answer because they think of how to word everything.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. Like, he just says everything like it's just natural to him.
Yeah.
But then again, he's had to do this for so long. But the reason that he was so intriguing to me, because I'm pretty sure this was from Black Metal Satanica, and all the other people they interviewed were just about how black metal had come up in the mid-90s, like late 80s even, and just talking about the journey that had come about. Niklas, on the other hand, all he could talk about was how he was absolutely disgusted with life and how it had no meaning to him. And I'm going to have to paraphrase because I don't recall exactly what was said, but he was definitely encouraging of people who would commit suicide, to the point that in one of their albums, I don't know if you read about this, but in one of their albums, they actually included razor blades to help, encourage.
Yeah. No, I read
self-harm.
that. Yeah, they've given them out at concerts. They've all sorts of stuff like that.
If you have ever seen this dude's arms,
Oh yeah, they're covered.
they are.
Well, he does a lot of it on stage. He's
Yes.
been known to mutilate on stage.
He
and stuff, or
self-mutilates on stage. He'll
Like
he's the European G.G. Allen. Just if G.G. Allen did self-harm stuff, which I think he might have, but it was mainly just him throwing shit around. But regardless, back in the day, we're talking like more than a decade ago, I disregarded a lot of the lyrical material and just enjoyed it for the art that it was, because artistically, outstanding group, just musically, just outstanding, vocally, amazing group. And so I loved it for that aspect, because they had kept to the true, well, I say true, but like the more raw aspect of black metal, and I absolutely loved it. And so I kept on listening, and that's kind of how I knew about them. And I'm glad that he sings primarily in Swedish, because it would have been very awkward to be playing that in around where we previously worked if he had sang in English. So so I would be listening to this at our previous employer as well, and everyone just thought I was listening to just standard black metal and worshiping Satan and whatnot.
It's pretty sad that they would have had less of an issue with you listening to a song about worshiping Satan than killing yourself. But hey.
Yeah, I know. Going into this album, take off.
All right, so if you ignore the subject matter and the I guess kind of who he is as a person, because like I said, he's kind of he's one of those people you can tell be very difficult to get along with. Yeah. But anyway, if you ignore all that, musically the album is utterly fantastic. It sounds weird saying this about a black metal group, but there were points of it that were so beautiful or gorgeous that I actually got fucking goosebumps. And that's weird, to get from a fucking...
this is also due to the avant-garde nature that they have adopted, which if you
and somewhat of a progressive space, at least for black metal.
Yes, well, and I'll go into that more later, and for those that don't know, avant-garde is a fancy term that has caused a rise, especially of, like, for lack of better words, the hipsters kind of made it worse, but it just means experimental.
Yeah. I love the guitars, and especially a lot of the guitar solos. They were extremely well done. I like the mix up, between the heaviness and then he'd completely bring it down into this real soft, section. I like the use of the chants in some of the songs. I enjoyed his vocals, except for like the first third of the second or third song. For some reason, his vocals sound a little off for me there. I don't really know why. Or at least they just didn't work with me with the music that was playing at that point. I don't remember. But other than that, his vocals are great. I had absolutely no problem with it. I actually liked that it was in Swedish because not knowing what Swedish is, it gave the Swedish lyrics, gave it kind of this extra layer or feel to it that it wouldn't have had, I think, if it was in English.
And this is the same way with like a lot of groups that sing in their native language, just like Korpikani. Like, dear God, I don't like. They would still sound amazing, but not half as amazing if they didn't sing in Finnish.
Yeah, and what else was I gonna say? I had all this stuff in my head when I was listening to the album.
I know what you mean.
Bring up the album stuff.
Okay,
so I can see what I'm looking at here.
So you are. Oh shit.
Oh, yeah,
There we go.
There you go. So I can't pronounce any of these songs, Kyle, so I'm not even going to try. So the first two songs were somewhat similar, but they were both absolutely fantastic. I can't even remember how I was going to describe some of this stuff yesterday. Now, like I said, the third song, the first third of it didn't really work for me, but after that, the song was amazing. I did find it interesting, and I think on just about any other kind of black metal album, this would not have worked whatsoever. But on here, not only did it work, but it fit. It was the piano cover they did, which was song 5.
That's a cover?
Yes.
Of what?
What was the guy's name? Eric Styles?
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a cover. Let's see. It is an Eric Satie cover.
No idea who that is, but brilliant.
Yeah. It seems weird because you would think anything that's like strictly just a piano would not make any sense on a, at least to me, on a black metal album. But here it absolutely fit, I thought.
You never listened to my first album, did you?
No.
Okay.
I don't think anyway. Yeah. If I did, it's been so long I don't remember.
Honestly, I don't either.
And then the last song. They had a kind of a staticky sound along with the guitars for like the first half of that song. I don't know if you remember. And I wasn't a huge fan of it because the static almost drowned out the guitar itself. To where it almost would have been no different if they had like the sound of a static television instead. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about the next to the last?
No, the last. The next to the last was the cover, the piano cover.
Oh, well, the last one, if I remember correctly, is this the one that also had like the tape hiss at the beginning, or the messing with the cassette tape?
I don't remember.
Because that might have been why.
No, well, it lasted a long way into the song.
Yeah. Oh, okay, now I remember. Yeah, now I remember.
Yeah. And you can still kind of hear the guitars there, but I feel like, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Now, it didn't last the whole song, thankfully. And again, once it went away, the rest of it was great. Like, honestly, when I was going through listening to it, I was wondering why I hadn't heard of these guys before. Because musically, they're absolutely fantastic, other than those two little gripes that I had. And if it really wasn't for those two little gripes I had, this would have been borderline one of the best, if not the best album I'd heard this year. That's how good it is. Again, you have to ignore what it's about.
Yeah, let us stress this.
Yeah.
We do not condone what is being done here. We are, as far as metal goes, we are a couple guys that we are firm believers in being able to separate the artist from the art.
Yes.
And within some black metal, depending on your personal views, you have to do that.
Mm-hmm. that's why I'm strictly speaking from a musical standpoint. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for what I just mentioned and the issue that I with his vocals in that first third of the which could have just been me.
Right.
It would have been. I probably, honest to God, might have given this album a 9.
Ooh, wow.
That's how good I thought it was.
That's okay.
But because of those, I'm probably somewhere between an 8 and 8.5. It's still that good. Like, I think would be the second or third best album I've listened to this year. At least out of that we've covered.
Right.
I like the creativity in the music. Like, the dude might be a dick, but he can make some fucking music. Like, straight up. So you might, if for some crazy reason the dude watches this, you might hate life, but don't stop making music. Don't kill yourself. Please keep making music.
His name is Niklas.
Yeah, Nicholas, please keep making music. Because you're damn good at it. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, there was more I wanted to say, but I can't remember it anymore.
If you remember it while I speak,
yeah. Hell, some things you might say might make it pop back in.
We'll see. So, for me, I would be lying if I said I struggled with this album.
Really?
Absolutely. The reason that you probably haven't really heard from them before is because this is a stark contrast to their earlier material.
Really?
Nothing is, this is the reason I struggled with this album. Because listening to this brought me back to listening to earlier days of Opeth. Mm-hmm. And by earlier days, I'm talking early days, like Orchid, and so on. But, because it blended, how to say this? It blended experimental black metal with progressive. And like we mentioned, and Opeth is so known for being like one of, in my opinion, the godfathers of progressive metal. Mm-hmm. But again, you will have to listen to their material from much earlier because it was way more black metal than this. It was.
I figured, because I'm sitting there like there's definitely black metal parts and black metal elements, but as a whole, I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't know that I would call this a true black metal album.
It is not.
Because it was very progressive, and avant-garde's a good way to put it, but
it is the only way to put it, in my opinion.
It despite that, it musically, I thought it was incredible.
So, personally, I absolutely love, and this, Shining is part of the subgenre of black metal called DSBM, Depressive Suicidal Black Metal. And the reason I love that, along with Funeral Doom, is because the people that have that perspective on life and have those views, holy shit, can they turn out some beautiful art.
Now, it's kind of funny because apparently Niklas coined the term suicidal black metal.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
And he said that, at the time, he's like, yeah, that's what he says now. He says he absolutely hates it. He hates that people call it that, other people use it, everything.
Well, it's because, again, it's part of the idea that black metal is not supposed to be, it was never meant to be a part of the masses. It's just this small group of people that are disgusted with everything else, and it's like small venue, crowd of maybe 20 people at most. And it was a very, very tight niche. And because of the way it's blew up and has gone into everything, it's almost become, within black metal, it started to become mainstream. And again, a lot of black metal is not meant to be mainstream, and that's probably the reason that he regrets that it came about like that. But regardless of that, I badly tried to listen to this from an unbiased perspective. And it was extremely difficult to do so because for what it is one of the best done. However, I know their older material, and their older material is why I came to enjoy them.
Right.
I struggled on whether or not to give this a 6.5 or 7, because although it is done so fucking well, it is such a, it's almost opposite from what they used to do. And typically, if an artist goes into another direction, fine, you need to change things up and you need to explore new directions. But for me personally, I did not care for it. Like, I did not care for this within their discography.
It kind of makes me glad that I hadn't done that I hadn't heard of them before, because it allowed me to literally listen to it from a complete and just listen to the actual music.
I had to listen to this. I had to try my best to listen to this as if it was a completely new group. And every time I listen to an album that we've done for review, I always think to myself, would I buy this album? No. I can't say that I would, because if I wanted anything remotely like this, I would go listen to Opeth.
Right.
And that's not, but again, that's not to say that what they've done is bad. It's extremely well done. It's just, it's probably more so I'd have to be in the mood for this, because the guitar work on this, the rhythm section was fantastic. The solo work, it just seemed like it didn't even fit to me.
Oh no, it did to me. Those were a lot of times where I got the goosebumps because they were so well done. At least for me.
No, and funny, and it's hilarious. I was laughing inside because this whole time I'm like, okay, God, when are you gonna end this shit and get back to just playing just unrecognizable rhythms? Like,
nah, that was really what made the album stand out for me.
Yeah. No. I think part of the reason that Nurgle pulled Niklas to be as a guest in Me and That Man is just because of his recent works. Because you started hearing stuff similar to this in Vagabond Flock.
He pulled him to do the Me and That Man?
Yes. Hold up.
Wait. I'm surprised Niklas would even do that. Hold on.
Oh, absolutely. Here, we're gonna... So this is gonna be an album review and... video thing. Now, mind you, for anyone that does not know, Me and That Man is Nurgle's country group.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting here like Niklas did that.
Yes, Niklas did that. You might actually really like this. It's actually really cool. Yep.
Forgive me if I don't know what I do. For a coward like me, but then again, no one said that it should. My voice ain't worthy. Older sister, it shouldn't be heard. 'Cause all that I've told you are lies upon lies upon lies. Oh, sister, you never learn. salvation will come. So dear Father, poor mother, please listen. I fucked up, I'm sorry to say. The son that you once knew is no longer with us. But it shows my own path, and it's not 'cause of you.
But yeah.
It's interesting.
But yeah, like I said, wasn't the biggest fan of this album, but that's just because
You like their older stuff better.
I like the older stuff better, and it's just an odd direction for me, but again, for what it is, it's outstanding, and that's why I couldn't give it a lower score. I struggled between like 6.5 and 7.
So you're between 6.5, I was between 8 and 8.5. And and so that, like I said, that makes me glad that this is the first time I listened to them, since I was able to do it without any bias towards their old stuff. So if you're like me and haven't heard of this band before and can separate the music from the artist / meaning behind the songs, you might enjoy it.
Yeah, for the progressive experimental piece of material that it is, it's well done.
Yeah.
But that was that, and
Y'all have any other album recommendations? We like to do anything that's no more than 6 months old, because then it kind of gets to be like, what's the point? Or if there's any albums coming up, which we do have a few that we are going to do coming up this year, but if there's any others that you recommend, let us know, and we'll throw on the list.
yeah. And for this year, we have started the...
New channel.
I was going to really say that, but we have started the From the Pit
Oh,
segment
yes.
section, which...
The email will be in the link, or in the description.
It will be. Yeah, there's that. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep rolling heavy.